share with you what I'm up to coming after all of these Johnnies. First of all, everything has been said. That's number one. And so I want to make it clear. So what I do is I bring out the greatness that you have within you. And I inspire you to create incredible wealth. That's what I do. And I want you right now to think about some goals that you want to achieve. I want you to think about some personal goals. My first personal goal was to buy my mother a home. That was important to me. I'm adopted. I was born in a poor section of Miami, Florida called Liberty City, an abandoned building on a floor with a twin brother. And we were adopted by Mrs. Mamie Brown. Altogether, she adopted 7 children. She had a 3rd grade education. She's a domestic worker on Miami Beach. And I feel like Abraham Lincoln, who said, all that I am and all that I ever hope to be, I owe to my mother. And so, as a kid, I used to watch my mother working on Miami Beach. She cooked for these families. We ate the food left over from the families that she cooked for. These were very kind and generous people. They would say, Mamie, whatever food is left over after we eat, you can pack it up and take it home to those children that you have adopted. We wore the hand-me-down clothes of the children that Mama kept. If they were too small, Mama would take them in. If they're too large, Mama would let them out. And my mama could bake too. My mama could bake a sweet potato pie so good, Larry, you couldn't eat it with your shoes off. You had to kick your shoes off so you could wiggle your toes. And walking around these big, beautiful mansions on Miami Beach, I would say, Mama, and she said, what is it, boy? When I become a man, I'm going to buy you a big, beautiful home, just like this. How many of you have somebody that you'd like to do something special for? Raise your hands. Very good. I want you to think about that person, and I'm going to share with you how you're going to make that happen. And then I want you to write down a number, your financial freedom number. Write that down, financial freedom number. How much money do you want to earn over the next year that by doing that, that will give you financial freedom? And that's important. That's important. I want you to think about that. What's the number? Write a number down. Just don't think about how you're going to do it. How is none of your business. I don't want you to think about that. Listen to me. Just put a number down. Now, whatever that number is, I want you to multiply that number 10 times. Multiply 10 times. That's the number my training will help you hit. The number that you just wrote down, that number that's 10 times larger than the one you came up with. And I don't care what that number is. Because here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to shake someone's hand on your right and left, look them in the eyes and say, you have greatness within you. Do that right now. Say, you have greatness within you. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know you, but here's what I know about you. Based upon my own experience, that you have greatness within you. That you have the ability to do more than you can ever begin to imagine. And I want you to think about goals in 3 areas. A personal goal, your financial goal, and then I want you to align yourself in the area where Cindy Kersey has. And I want you to put down a goal that represents your social contribution. What will be different? What cause do you believe in? One of mine is to reduce the number of women who die from breast cancer. My mother was a 22-year breast cancer conqueror. How many men over 40? Raise your hands, please. One of my goals is to reduce the number of men who die from prostate cancer. I'm a 15-year prostate cancer conqueror because of God's grace and mercy. 15 years ago, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer and given a 2 to 3 year prognosis. One of the things I think the doctor should never tell someone they're terminally ill. What they should say is, my knowledge an ability to help you has terminated. Now you need to explore some other options. Does that make sense? Yes. And so my goal is to encourage men to get their PSA test. 1 to 4 is normal. Mine at the time was 125. As I speak to you now, it's over 700. And I'm cancer-free, debt-free, and drama-free. One of the goals I have is reduce the number of children that's impacted by autism, which is at an epidemic rate. In public service announcements on radio and television to let parents know what they need to identify between the ages of 0 and 3 before the child brain fully develops. One of the goals I have, most recently on September the 25th, I'm going to Chicago to launch the Greatness Center. The Greatness Center is designed, something I'm going to replicate across the country first and then internationally. It's designed to transform the collective thinking of people, to expand their skill set, and to create achievement-driven communities. Last month alone, over 281 people were shot in Chicago. I believe that whatever goes on in a community is a reflection of the state of the mind of the people. Communities are created by people, and they can be changed by people. And the secret is to maintain commitment for the change, in spite of the disappointments and setbacks and the frustrations that we invariably will encounter in attempting to change the way that we live. So I want you to think about what your contribution will be. Mine is to train 10,000 voices of hope. 10,000 voices outside of politics, outside of the media, outside of church. 10,000 voices of hope. People who have a passion to make a difference with their lives and who will bring hope, because when there's hope in the future, that gives you power in the present, and methods that will empower people to learn how to begin to live in this age that the late Peter Drucker called the era of the 3 C's: accelerated change, overwhelming complexity, and tremendous competition. So how many of you have major goals you want to achieve? Raise your hands. Very good. I want to ask you another question. I like to reflect on this being a 15-year cancer conqueror. How many of you know if you had your life to live over again, you could have done more than what you've done thus far? Raise your hands. Now, that proves the point. That's the greatness in you that raised your hands. I want to read something to you. How many of you love quotes? Raise your hands. I want to read something to you. I want to paraphrase something by Dr. Howard Thurman. Dr. Thurman was a brilliant man. He was an advisor to Mahatma Gandhi and to Albert Schweitzer, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. King Sr. talked to Dr. Thurman and said, Howard, I want you to mentor my boy MLK. Dr. Thurman wrote, deep is the hunger, the voice of the genuine, the centering moment. He was a very brilliant preacher, and mystic, and orator, and writer. He wrote, there is something in every one of you that waits and listens to the sound of the genuine in yourself. It is the only true voice that whispers to you. And if you cannot hear it, you will all of your life spend your days on the ends of strings that somebody else pulls. If you don't hear that voice, when I ask the question, how many of you know if you had your life to live over again? Those of you that raised your hands, there's a part of you, and that's the part that I'm speaking to now during this presentation. That's the greatness that is in you. That part of you that knows, that you feel it in your heart as I speak to you right now. Everybody repeat after me, please. Live full.
Live full.
Die empty.
Die empty.
after receiving 238 radiation seeds. I remember reading and reflecting on the words of Dr. Thurman one night when my son asked me, "Daddy, are you going to die?" And I said, "Son, everyone dies at some point in time." He said, "I understand that, but I want to know, are you going to die of cancer?" I said, "Why do you ask me that?" Because you're not yourself. You're not the bubbly personality. You're not the kind of person that I've always known you to be, unstoppable and relentless. You spend most of your time in the room with the curtains closed, the lights off, and no sounds coming from your room. You don't talk to us and interact with us much now. I want to know, are you going to live? Or are you going to die? I said, "John Leslie, I'm going to live. I just haven't been myself." How many of you had something happen to you that you just weren't yourself? Raise your hands. I said, "I know I have not been myself." But when he talked to me, it caused me to stay up at night, and I was reading the words of Dr. Thurman. He said, the ideal situation for a man or woman to die is to have family members pray with them as they cross over. He said, but imagine, if you will, being on your deathbed and standing around your bed, the ghosts of the dreams, the ideas, the abilities, the talents given to you by life, but you, for whatever reason, you never pursued those dreams. You never went after those ideas. You never used those talents. And there they are standing around your bed, looking at you with large, angry eyes, saying, we came to you. And only you could have given us life. And now, we must die with you forever. The question is, if you died today, what dreams, what ideas, what talents, what books, what leadership, what voice will die with you? Maybe that's why Miles Monroe out of the Bahamas said the wealthiest place on the planet. It's not in the Far East where there's oil in the ground. It's not in South Africa where there are diamond mines. He said the wealthiest place on the planet is the cemetery. Because there you'll find books never written. There you'll find voices never heard from. There you'll find dreams never pursued. There you'll find greatness undeveloped. Maybe that's why one woman wrote, what if you live your whole life only to discover that it was wrong? That it was wrong. Maybe that's why Henry David Thoreau said, oh God, to reach the point of death, only to realize that you have never lived, only to realize that you've never scraped the surface of your potential. Everybody say again, live full, die empty. Die empty.
Thanks for chilling out with me. I hope I was able to inspire you just a little. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, share this content, and subscribe. While I have you, leave a comment with suggestions for future topics. And remember, stay positive. I'll see you next time.